Behind every gold medal in Olympic Taekwondo, there's someone you never see on the podium. Someone who doesn't throw a single kick, yet shapes everyone. This is the story of the people behind the fighters, the Olympic coaches. They don't just build athletes, they build champions. Today we're going inside their world, inside the mind of an Olympic Taekwondo coach. What does it take to prepare a fighter for the world stage? How do they build discipline, design a strategy, and deal with pressure when everything is on the line? Let's step into the corner of the mat and see the game from their side. On to Section 1. Beyond the dobok. What an Olympic coach really does. To the outsider, coaching might seem like holding a pad and shouting commands. But Olympic-level coaching is far more complex. It begins years before the games. A coach scouts talent early, sometimes when the athlete is still a teenager. From there, it's not just about skill. Coaches study temperament, work ethic, and how an athlete responds to pressure. They need fighters who can learn, adapt, and survive long-term competition cycles. Once a potential athlete is chosen, the coach takes on multiple roles: strategist, technician, psychologist, and even a bit of a parent. Training isn't just about kicks. It's about planning the year in phases: base conditioning, technical sharpening, tactical drills, and mental resilience. And every phase is meticulously timed to peak at the right moment, usually the final match of the Olympic finals. Building the blueprint, the daily grind of champions. Let's look at what a typical training day looks like under an Olympic coach. Morning begins with physical conditioning: sprints, resistance training, agility circuits. The goal here isn't just power, it's injury-proofing the body for high-speed combat. By midday, training shifts to technical refinement. Coaches break down kicks frame by frame using video analysis. Every motion is evaluated: the angle of the hip, the timing of the pivot, the recoil after impact. Then come the tactical drills, simulated matches with specific objectives. One round might focus on counterattacks, another on pressure fighting when behind on points. The coach adapts these sessions based on the opponent the athlete is likely to face. Evenings often include recovery sessions, ice baths, mobility training, or low-impact cardio. Coaches monitor every detail, from hydration levels to sleep quality, because one missed detail can cost a match. And at the Olympic level, one match can decide 4 years of work. Fight eye, how coaches train the mind. Physical training is only half the game. The real separator is fight IQ, and that's where coaching becomes psychological warfare. A coach trains their fighter to read patterns, identify habits, and exploit weaknesses in real time. In one Olympic cycle, a top coach noticed that a world-ranked fighter always shifted weight before throwing a spinning kick. The movement was subtle, barely noticeable, but consistent. They drilled their athlete to react the moment they saw that shift. Months later, that knowledge led to a knockout win in the quarterfinals. These moments aren't accidents. They're the result of hundreds of hours of study and scenario building. During matches, coaches have only seconds between rounds to give advice. But that advice has to be precise, actionable, and clear. It might be the difference between gold and going home empty-handed. Fight IQ, the silent edge of Olympic coaching. Physical training is only half the game. Speed, strength, and technique are what get you into the arena. But they don't guarantee victory. At the Olympic level, almost every athlete is technically excellent. The real separator? Fight IQ. And that's where coaching shifts into psychological warfare. Fight IQ isn't just about instinct. It's about learning how to think under pressure, how to read patterns, spot the smallest tells, and make split-second decisions that shift the match in your favor. Coaches develop this capacity in their athletes not by shouting commands, but by sharpening awareness. Every movement has a purpose. Every reaction has a cue. Take one real case from a past Olympic cycle. A veteran coach, analyzing footage frame by frame, noticed a world-ranked opponent had a subtle habit. Right before throwing a spinning kick, he shifted his weight slightly onto his back foot. To most eyes, this was invisible, but the coach picked up on it. They didn't immediately teach a counter. Instead, they spent weeks training their athletes' eyes first, rewiring their brain to notice the shift without thinking. Once that recognition became second nature, they layered in a specific response, a quick sidestep followed by a roundhouse to the open side. Months passed. The cue became instinct. Fast forward to the Olympic quarterfinals. Their fighter was up against that very opponent. Midway through the second round, it happened. The shift. Instinct kicked in. The sidestep, the counter, the contact. The spinning kick never landed. Instead, the counter did. Clean, full contact, knockout. That win wasn't luck. It was the result of obsessive detail, targeted strategy, and thousands of drilled repetitions. Coaches who understand fight IQ know how to build decision-making into muscle memory. But the work doesn't stop in the training hall. During competition, time is brutally limited. Between rounds, coaches have less than a minute to provide input. There's no room for vague encouragement. Their words must be clear, direct, and immediately usable. A good coach can shift the mental state of a fighter in seconds, resetting frustration, refocusing attention, or sharpening a tactical plan. Sometimes it's pointing out a vulnerability in the opponent's defense. Sometimes it's calming an athlete who's overwhelmed by the moment. Because when you're down by points, sweating under lights, and millions are watching, your brain doesn't think clearly. That's when a calm, trained voice from the corner makes all the difference. At this level, the margin between victory and defeat is often invisible. It's a step, a feint, a reaction time. But more than anything, it's what happens in the mind, on both sides of the match. Olympic coaches don't just build strong fighters, they build smart ones. And when the physical tools are equal, intelligence becomes the deadliest weapon on the mat. Section 4. The pressure cooker. Coaching at the Olympic Games. No environment tests a coach more than the Olympic Games. Imagine this. 4 years of preparation. Cameras everywhere. Nations watching. A lifetime of work hanging on each round. At this point, nothing new is taught. It's all about execution and calm. Coaches must manage adrenaline, not just in the athlete, but in themselves. Too much emotion and it clouds judgment. Too little, and the fighter may not feel supported. In the warm-up area, coaches focus on rhythm drills and breathing. Simple cues, focused words, no overloading the mind. During the match, their eyes scan everything: foot positioning, point gaps, referees' calls, even the body language of the opponent's coach. A single point can change momentum. A good coach senses that before it happens. In the final round, the voice of the coach might be the only thing an athlete hears above the roar of the crowd. And in those moments, trust is everything. Section 5. Legacy. What the best coaches leave behind after the medals are awarded and the lights go down. The true impact of a coach is measured in more than wins. Olympic coaches build systems. They pass on knowledge. They mentor new coaches and develop generations of fighters. One legendary coach from South Korea spent decades developing a national program so structured that even second-string athletes could win world titles. His work influenced not just his country, but global Taekwondo standards. In Iran, coaches helped build a national style centered around explosive counter kicks, taking the world by storm in the early 2000s. In countries like Turkey and Thailand, modern Olympic coaching has led to historic first-time medals. These aren't just coincidences. They're the results of years of vision, leadership, and adaptation. Because Olympic coaches don't just train for a single event, they build systems that can outlast their careers. The spotlight may fall on the athlete, but behind every Taekwondo champion is a mind that shaped them. Olympic coaches aren't just trainers. They're architects of victory, blending data, instinct, and leadership into a single mission: peak performance at the exact right time. Their job isn't just to win, it's to make winning possible. So the next time you see a fighter step onto the Olympic mat, remember, there's another champion standing just outside the frame. One who never throws a single kick, but whose fingerprints are on every point scored. That's the mind of an Olympic coach.